Thursday night is debate night. Trump-Biden kicking off 24. Over the last few days, Pops is hiding out at Camp David, and Donald Trump is buying cheesesteaks for the masses in Philadelphia, and a guy who was right with him interviewing him one-on-one over the weekend is our good friend, Chris Stigall. Chris, good morning, my friend. How are you?
Pete, great to be back with you. Doing great. Happy Monday.
Hey, absolutely. Same to you. So where were you? What was the weekend like for you? I saw that you were one-on-one with President Trump. What brought that to be, and how was he over the weekend?
You know, it was a real honor, I have to say. This is the first time I've had the privilege. We've talked with the president before over the phone. I have had the chance now to greet him. I think we talked about the Wildwood rally in New Jersey last month, and I got an opportunity to go back and shake his hand, which, was neat. This was the first time that we got a very unexpected call about 24 hours before he was scheduled to come to North Philadelphia, the Leah Center, which is on the campus of Temple University, where the Temple Owls play basketball. That's where he had this rally. And they called and said, hey, could you come back and interview Trump before the rally? And okay, so we scrambled, and we got there, and we made it work. And to my surprise, I don't say it as a boast. I just say it because it's true. I didn't expect it. I was figuring that I'd be in sort of a little scrum with press kind of barking questions at him. We were it.
Wow.
There were other media covering it, but we were the only ones allowed back to talk with him one-on-one for a few minutes. And so that was I was shocked and honored. It was a lot of fun.
So he's clearly making a play. We know that Pennsylvania is a swing state, but he's in parts of Pennsylvania, deep blue Philadelphia, where Republicans wouldn't dare venture for the better part of several decades now. How legitimate is that movement where you have deep blue districts, deep blue cities, at least looking at Donald Trump in 2024?
The news in that rally Saturday to me was not those in attendance. The news was what was going on outside. And on my social media, you can actually go there and see it if you want to go over to Facebook or Instagram or X. I posted the photo, or I should say the video, of about a minute and a half. I went outside the Leah Center just as the rally was getting underway to see who had gathered outside to protest the event. Because you'd think, you're in deep blue Pennsylvania. I said, let's go see who's protesting. Pete, there weren't 20 protesters outside. That was it. And they were stupid handheld signs. In fact, when I started rolling, and you can go see a video of this yourself, because I pulled out wide so you could see it. Like, it's not me editing it or doing clever things to make it look small. I took a very wide shot so everyone could see the totality of the protest. And there's a woman with a microphone and a loudspeaker chanting, "Donald Trump's got small hands."
Oh, my goodness. We're doing the small. What is this, 2016 with Marco Rubio? Oh, my goodness.
So to me, the story is, and I don't know that anybody else reported on it, and people were trying to make a deal that the arena wasn't packed to the rafters. It wasn't a sellout for Trump. Well, he's in North Philadelphia. The story is, there was zero protesting. There was ambivalence at best. So I'm not suggesting that these deep blue cities like Philadelphia are going to go for Trump, but I am suggesting they're not excited or moved by Biden, and they're not particularly interested in going to heckle Trump. So does that tell us something? I think it does.
Well, yeah, exactly. So, in a binary election, which all of these are obviously, does it suggest the enthusiasm for Biden is not there and the pushback against Donald Trump is not there? Both of those things are good for Donald Trump, to your point.
Sure seems that way to me. I mean, I think it's kind of like Trump said when he went to Philadelphia back in 2016 and said, what the hell have you got to lose? I think after this mess, this inflation, the crime, certainly. I mean, a cop was shot the very night Trump was visiting, just a few blocks from where he was speaking. 7 people were shot just blocks from where he was speaking the day before. The violence is everywhere. It's thick and pervasive in places like Philadelphia. And so I think that's kind of the attitude many folks have with inflation and crime. It's like, what the hell have we got to lose?
And how does that play? How does Donald Trump right now play in some of those classic suburban swing counties we hear about, on election night in Pennsylvania, the Bucks counties of the world? How is his message resonating compared to the last 2 cycles?
It's interesting because in Pennsylvania, for the last few Senate runs statewide for the Republicans, Pat Toomey was the last Republican senator from Pennsylvania, if you remember him. And Toomey ran an interesting campaign, like a parallel campaign to Trump. He didn't join with him. He just kind of ran his own deal, and he won while Trump won. But and then he decided not to run again. And, of course, now Fetterman is the senator from Pennsylvania. But what's interesting now, there's a guy called Dave McCormick, and he's running against Bob Casey, the senior senator from Pennsylvania. And what you're seeing this time is the Republican Senate candidate, the GOP, the old guard GOP, used to tell the Republican candidate for Senate, just do a parallel thing. Don't talk about Trump. Ignore Trump. Pretend Trump's not there. Do your own thing because suburban women, just like you asked about. This time, Dave McCormick showed up at this rally and embraced Trump and spoke with Trump, and they're running together. So that's not to directly answer your question, but my point is this time the calculation is, I guess, that things have gotten bad enough, back to what I say, immigration, crime, the border, the instability around the world. I think the calculation is, that it's gotten bad enough that these suburban women are not as a big a concern that they'll be swayed by things like abortion and birth control and stuff like that. Although the Democrats are going to try it, it seems that Pennsylvania Republicans and the GOP are now banking on the Trump message of safety, security, and low inflation winning the day.
Chris Stigall is here, of course. This audience on KCMO Talk Radio knows him well. So you talked to Donald Trump. You had that one-on-one over the weekend in Philadelphia. It's always different versus being on the phone with somebody. What was his mindset, his body language, everything that's gone on for him the last few weeks? How did he seem over the weekend?
I'm going to sound like a fanboy, and I suppose that I am. So I stipulate I'm a partisan, and I'm a voter of his. That's all true. I was not a fan of his in 2016. I came around. By 2020, enthusiastic backer. I'm an enthusiastic backer again. I was in the primary only because, we all have seen how victimized he's been. The lawfare that's gone on, the Department of Justice weaponizing itself against the guy, trying to hamper his campaign before he gets out of the gate. So I say that I am an enthusiastic backer because I'm furious at the way the government has weaponized itself against Americans, including him. So when he comes in the room, Pete, he's like a tiger. He kind of, what do you say, ambles in. Like, it's not bravado. It's like, I'm here and yelling and obnoxious. It's just like everybody knows he's in the room. He's one of those guys. He just carries himself that way. But he's very calm, and he's very reserved, and he's actually, Pete, very soft-spoken, believe it or not. And what I had just seen before he got into the room was, I don't know if you've seen the footage. He stopped at a cheesesteak place, and there was a little boy dressed as Trump and wanted to meet him. And he goes up and he meets Trump, and the boy gets so overwhelmed, I guess emotionally or nervous or excited, I don't know what, but the boy just breaks down in tears. He's a mess. The boy's just crying. And Trump, rather than just ignore it, he could have, because there were throngs of people around him. Trump puts his arm on his shoulder. He's, oh, look at that. Come on now. Don't. He kind of tried to cheer him up. He pulls out a 20 out of his pocket. And he says to the boy, he goes, who's on this $20 bill? And the boy says, Andrew Jackson. Because he was obviously raised by somebody smart who cares about civics. And Andrew Jackson, he said, that's right. And Trump says, let's make this a little more valuable. He takes out a marker, and with the Sharpie, he signs the $20 bill and hands it back to this kid, tears streaming down his face, puts the arm around the kid. He goes, you're a great kid. He goes, if your parents don't want you, I'm going to take you home. The kid's life is made now, and it's like he didn't have to do that. He didn't have to. And then he turns around and he writes a $500 tip to the employees of the sandwich shop and writes, no tax on tips, vote Trump, and bought like 200 sandwiches for his team. The way he works a room, the way he greets people, the energy he draws from people, he likes people. And that for some reason, that doesn't often come across on your TV screen or even in interviews. But he's so personable and so damned likable. I just defy you to be in the room with the guy and come away not liking him if you get to meet him one-on-one.
Chris Stigall, last thing, Chris, here in the next minute. I guess a VP pick could be coming this week. What do you think?
I would be absolutely crazy to try to guess. I know who everybody says they want. People like Vivek or J.D. Vance. People seem to suggest that's who he's zeroing in on. They say J.D. Vance is prepping him for the debate. That name came up a lot. I think both he and Vivek live in Ohio. Trump's been rumored to be in and out of Ohio. I love Sarah Huckabee Sanders personally. I mean, like if I had his ear and he asked me, I'd say Sarah Huckabee Sanders. But I don't think that's who it's going to be. So I don't know. You have an opinion?
I mean, I saw the list like you did, and I was a fan of Rubio, but then this Doug Burgum guy, the more I see him on TV, I like him. I think he's a good spokesman for him, and J.D. Vance is obviously kind of that next wave of MAGA. So I don't think he can go wrong with any of them. But I think that pecking order, if I was just putting it together right now, those three that at least we've seen reported, I would put something like Burgum, Rubio, Vance. But you could argue any order in my book.
I would say Burgum is an interesting one because, he came to Wildwood, New Jersey, that rally on the beach last month. There's the governor of North Dakota standing on the beach in New Jersey. It's like, why?
Yeah.
What? So that you might be onto something there.
But I do love Sarah Huckabee Sanders. I totally agree. I mean, and Bill O'Reilly has said the same thing on this show before. He said, if I was Trump, I'd be looking at Sarah Huckabee Sanders. But does she want to put her family through that? She's got a young family right now, Chris, and that's got to matter too for these folks.
It does, and she just became governor, and she's doing a bang-up job down there. She loves being governor, I think. Mm-hmm. Sean Spicer, when I brought that up to him, he said, yeah, but there's sort of a dynamic there where she will always sort of be Trump's underling. And Spicer's of the belief that Trump wants someone that is like his co-equal in a way, not in terms of rank, but somebody that's come from the business world. Like a guy like Burgum is a very, very powerful, rich business guy.
Yeah.
And Spicer's of the belief that Trump kind of likes that. But I don't know. That's just speculation, pure speculation. But it was an interesting rally.
Well, hey, I'm glad you were there. I'm glad you spent some time with us on it. And we love hearing your voice on KCMO. We appreciate it, my friend.
Always a pleasure, Pete. Anytime. Great to talk to you.
You as well. Chris Stigall on 95.7 FM, KCMO Talk Radio.